Cosmic Crucible. Chapter 1. The Unveiling of Shadows. The biting wind of a city winter whipped through the narrow alleyways, carrying with it the stench of decay and the faint echo of sirens. It was in such an alley, tucked behind the gleaming towers of the metropolis, that Walter stood, the crimson emblem of the dragons of eternity emblazoned on his worn leather jacket. His presence radiated power, a subtle hum of energy that even the biting wind couldn't extinguish. Before him, projected onto the grimy brick wall, flickered a holographic display, each line of code a damning indictment of the city's police force. They prey on the weak, line their pockets with the suffering of the innocent. Walter's voice, amplified by hidden speakers, boomed across the digital void. Today, we unveil their shadows. The evidence had been painstakingly gathered, each piece a testament to the insidious corruption that had festered within the police ranks. Bribes, extortion, and the deliberate turning of blind eyes to the city's most vulnerable. It was a tapestry of betrayal woven with the threads of greed and malice. As the last line of code vanished from the wall, replaced by a composite image of the police chief accepting a bag of money, the virtual speakers fell silent, leaving only the howl of the wind and the uneasy silence of the city. From the rooftops above, dark-clad figures began rappelling down, each one a dragon of eternity, ready to defend the truth. Lily, standing a few steps behind Walter, her eyes shimmering with cosmic energy, placed a hand on his shoulder. "They will not take this revelation lightly," she murmured, her voice a symphony of creation and power. "Be prepared for their retribution." Walter merely nodded, his gaze fixed on the holographic projection, a grim satisfaction etched onto his features. He knew that exposing the corruption would come with a price, but he was willing to pay it. The city needed to see the truth, to break free from the chains of tyranny that had bound it for so long. Suddenly, the alley erupted in a cacophony of shouts and gunfire. Police vehicles swarmed the entrance, their sirens blaring a discordant symphony of oppression. The dragons of eternity sprang into action, deflecting bullets with shields of pure energy and retaliating with precise strikes. Walter moved with a speed that defied perception, weaving through the chaos like a phantom, his hands crackling with raw power. He manipulated the very energy around him, creating walls of force and deflecting projectiles with ease. A squad of enforcers, clad in black armor, emerged from the vehicles, their faces hidden behind visors. They were the government's shock troops, ruthless and unwavering in their loyalty. Walter knew that dealing with them would require a different approach. "Lily, protect the rear," he commanded, his voice cutting through the din of battle. "I'll handle these zealots." With a gesture, he unleashed a wave of necromantic energy, summoning spectral warriors from the shadows. The spectral figures, clad in ancient armor, materialized with a ghostly wail, their ethereal blades shimmering with an otherworldly light. They engaged the enforcers, their spectral forms passing through solid objects, disorienting and disrupting their ranks. Walter faced the enforcers head-on, channeling his energy into devastating blows. He moved with a precision that belied his raw power, targeting their vital points and disabling them with calculated strikes. The enforcers fought with a fanatical zeal, but they were no match for Walter's mastery of energy and the spectral warriors he commanded. As the battle raged, Lily unleashed her cosmic powers, creating a shimmering shield that protected the dragons of eternity from the government's firepower. She manipulated the very fabric of reality, bending space and time to her will. Her presence radiated a sense of hope and resilience, inspiring her allies and demoralizing her enemies. The battle spilled out of the alley and onto the streets, disrupting the city's rhythm and exposing the conflict to the public eye. Citizens, witnessing the clash between the dragons of eternity and the forces of oppression, began to take sides. Some cheered on Walter and his followers, while others cowered in fear, unsure of what to believe. The tyrannical government, determined to crush the rebellion, deployed armored vehicles and aerial drones, escalating the conflict to a new level. The city became a war zone, its once pristine streets stained with blood and scarred by the ravages of battle. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the battlefield, Walter knew that he couldn't win this fight through brute force alone. He needed a strategic advantage, a way to disrupt the government's control and expose their lies to the world. Turning to Lily, he saw the exhaustion beginning to creep onto her face. He knew she couldn't sustain her cosmic shield indefinitely. "We need to fall back," he said, his voice laced with urgency. "The government will continue to escalate until they level this city. We need to find a safe haven, a place where we can regroup and plan our next move." Lily nodded, her eyes filled with understanding. Together, they rallied the dragons of eternity, leading them through the maze of streets and alleyways, evading the government's forces and seeking refuge. As they journeyed, Lily suddenly paused, her gaze drawn towards the horizon. "I sense a surge of dark energy," she said, her voice filled with alarm. "It's emanating from the Nexus, the place where the evil cults gather. They're planning something sinister." Walter clenched his fist, his jaw tightening with resolve. He knew that he couldn't ignore the threat posed by the cults. They were a constant source of chaos and destruction, and their sinister plots threatened to destabilize the region. "We'll deal with them," he said, his voice grim. "But first we need to find a safe haven for our people." With renewed determination they pressed on, seeking refuge from the storm and preparing for the battles to come. "I know a place," Walter said, "an ancient one. High in the Emerald Peaks, Elder Rowan will guide us." Walter's dragon, Chaos, landed next to him, with Chaos lowering for Walter and Lily to get on him before Chaos took off into the sky. Chapter 2: Nexus of Nightmares. The air hung heavy with the stench of sulfur and decay as Chaos, Walter's crimson dragon, descended towards the Nexus. Below, a sprawling network of caverns pulsed with a sickly green light, the source of the dark energy Lily had sensed. "This place, it's a wound upon the world," she murmured, her face pale as she dismounted Chaos, the dragon's scales shimmering even in this unholy light. "A convergence point for nightmares." Walter surveyed the entrance, a gaping maw in the earth adorned with grotesque carvings of writhing figures and tormented faces. The evil cults had made this place their sanctuary, twisting its natural beauty into a perverse reflection of their own depravity. "The air itself seems to resist life," he observed, his hand crackling with energy as he cast a protective ward around them. "We must tread carefully. This place is saturated with dark magic." As they ventured deeper into the Nexus, the caverns twisted and turned, defying all sense of logic and geography. The walls seemed to breathe, the shadows danced with malevolent intent, and the air whispered with the tormented souls trapped within. Illusions flickered at the periphery of their vision, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. "These cults, they've mastered the art of psychological warfare," Lily said, her voice strained. "They're trying to break our minds before they break our bodies." Walter nodded, his gaze unwavering. He knew that the key to surviving this ordeal was to maintain focus and resist the allure of the illusions. "They want us to fear them," he said, his voice firm. "But fear is a weapon that cuts both ways. We will use it against them." Suddenly, the path ahead dissolved into a swirling vortex of darkness. Twisted figures emerged from the shadows, their faces contorted in grotesque masks that are similar to the Enforcers, while similar to a familiar face. "They know we're here," Walter said, his voice low. "Prepare yourselves. This is where the real trial begins." The figures lunged, their blades dripping with a viscous black fluid that seemed to corrode the very air. Walter deflected their attacks with shields of pure energy, while Lily unleashed blasts of cosmic power, incinerating the figures with blinding light. But as each figure fell, another rose to take its place, their numbers seemingly endless. They fought their way through the hordes, their movements fluid and precise, their combined power a force to be reckoned with. But the Nexus was relentless, its illusions growing stronger, its darkness more oppressive. As they pressed deeper, they came upon a vast cavern, its floor stained crimson with the blood of countless sacrifices. In the center of the cavern, a towering altar stood, adorned with the bones of the innocent and the symbols of dark gods. Around the altar, chanting figures clad in hooded robes swayed rhythmically, their voices a discordant drone that resonated with the very fabric of the Nexus. Leading the ritual was the cult leader, a figure shrouded in shadow, his voice a guttural rasp that sent shivers down their spines. "Welcome, trespassers," the cult leader rasped, his voice echoing through the cavern. "You have dared to intrude upon our sacred ground. Now, you will pay the ultimate price." The cult leader raised his hands, and the air crackled with dark energy. The altar pulsed with a sickly green light, and the chanting figures intensified their drone. From the depths of the cavern, an ancient demon began to stir, its presence a palpable weight that pressed down on their souls. "We intend to stop you," Walter said, his voice unwavering. "Your reign of terror ends here." The cult leader laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the cavern. "You cannot stop what is coming," he said. "The demon will be unleashed and it will enslave humanity. You are powerless to prevent it." Walter and Lily exchanged a look. They knew that the cult leader was right. The demon was immensely powerful, and stopping it would require a sacrifice of their own. But they were willing to pay the price. Walter channeled his energy into a blinding blast of light, disrupting the ritual and scattering the chanting figures. Lily unleashed her cosmic power, creating a protective shield around them and shielding them from the demon's malevolent gaze. The battle was joined, a clash of light and darkness that threatened to tear the Nexus apart. Walter fought the cult leader, their powers evenly matched, their wills locked in a deadly struggle. Lily fought the demon, using her cosmic abilities to weaken its hold on the mortal realm. The cavern shook with the force of their attacks, the walls crumbling and the shadows recoiling in fear. As the battle raged, Walter caught a glimpse of the cult leader's face, a twisted visage of malice and depravity. He saw the hunger for power in his eyes, the desire to dominate and control, and he knew that this was a battle for the very soul of humanity. With a surge of energy, Walter broke through the cult leader's defenses and struck him with a blow that shattered his will. The cult leader collapsed, his power fading, his reign of terror brought to an end. Lily continued to battle the demon, using her cosmic abilities to weaken its hold on the mortal realm. She saw a weakness, a flaw in its ancient armor. With a final burst of energy, she struck at the flaw, shattering the demon's power and banishing it back to the depths from whence it came. Exhausted but victorious, Walter and Lily stood amidst the ruins of the Nexus, their faces grim with the knowledge of what they had just witnessed. They had stopped the cult from unleashing the demon, but they knew that the threat was far from over. Lily, touching the cavern wall, looked grim when seeing visions of potential timelines where the demon's release leads to utter devastation. Chapter 3: Ironclad Decree. The city, once a vibrant metropolis, now resembled a pressure cooker, its citizens simmering with repressed anger. News of the dragons of eternity's exposure of the corrupt police force had spread like wildfire, but the tyrannical government responded with swift and brutal efficiency. An ironclad decree was announced, broadcast across every screen and loudspeaker, its very title a chilling promise of oppression. All gatherings of more than 5 individuals are hereby deemed illegal. Curfews will be enforced from dusk till dawn. Any dissent will be met with swift and decisive force. The announcement was punctuated by the ominous drone of government drones patrolling the skies, their cameras scanning the streets for any sign of defiance. Walter, watching the broadcast from a hidden sanctuary beneath the city, felt a surge of rage. "They're tightening their grip," he said, his voice tight with fury. "They're trying to suffocate us, to crush the last embers of hope." Lily, standing beside him, her eyes shimmering with cosmic energy, placed a hand on his shoulder. "They underestimate the resilience of the human spirit," she said, her voice a soothing balm against the storm of his emotions. "When people are pushed to the brink, they find strength they never knew they possessed." Indeed, the ironclad decree had the opposite effect of what the government intended. Instead of quelling dissent, it fueled the flames of rebellion. People began to whisper in the shadows, to organize in secret, to plot against their oppressors. Small acts of defiance blossomed across the city, graffiti art mocking the government, clandestine gatherings in hidden locations, coded messages passed through the underground network. Walter, recognizing the potential of this burgeoning resistance, decided to take action. "We need to channel this energy to give these people a voice," he said. "We need to create a network, an underground railroad that can connect them, protect them, and empower them to fight back." With Lily's help, Walter began to establish a network of underground resistance cells, each one operating independently, but all connected through a secure communication channel. He reached out to trusted allies, to ordinary citizens who had the courage to stand up against injustice. He provided them with resources, with training, and with the knowledge they needed to survive in a world of constant surveillance. But the government was not idle. The corrupt police force, emboldened by the ironclad decree, intensified their crackdown, arresting and silencing anyone suspected of supporting Walter or the Dragons of Eternity. Informants infiltrated the resistance cells, feeding the government valuable information about their activities. One evening, as Walter was meeting with a group of resistance leaders in a hidden warehouse, the police suddenly stormed the building. The warehouse doors crashed open, and a swarm of officers flooded the space, their weapons drawn. A firefight erupted, the air filled with the deafening roar of gunfire and the acrid smell of gunpowder. Walter and his allies fought valiantly, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. One by one, they fell, their bodies riddled with bullets. Walter, seeing his comrades being slaughtered, felt a surge of despair. He knew that he had to escape, to protect the network and to continue the fight another day. "Lily, get them out of here," he shouted, his voice strained. "I'll hold them off." Lily nodded, her eyes filled with determination. She unleashed a wave of cosmic energy, creating a diversion that allowed the remaining resistance members to escape through a secret passage. Walter, meanwhile, stood his ground, facing the onslaught of the police officers. He channeled his energy into devastating blows, sending the officers flying with each strike. He moved with a speed that defied perception, dodging bullets and deflecting attacks with ease. But the police officers were relentless, their numbers seemingly endless. They swarmed him, overwhelming him with their firepower. As Walter fought, he couldn't help but think about the people he was trying to protect. He thought about the ordinary citizens who were suffering under the government's tyranny, about the resistance members who had sacrificed their lives for the cause of freedom. And he knew that he couldn't give up. He had to keep fighting no matter the cost. Suddenly, a voice boomed through the warehouse, silencing the gunfire. It was the voice of Elder Rowan, his words echoing with ancient wisdom and power. "Enough." Elder Rowan's voice resonated in the minds of everyone present, stilling their hearts and quieting the chaos. A blinding light flooded the warehouse, momentarily blinding both the police officers and Walter. When the light subsided, Elder Rowan stood before them, his towering form exuding an aura of tranquility. The police officers, awed by his presence, instinctively lowered their weapons. Rowan turned to Walter, his ancient eyes filled with compassion. "The path you walk is fraught with peril," he said, his voice deep and resonant. "But know that you are not alone. The forest stands with you, and the spirits of nature will guide your steps." Then, turning to the police officers, he spoke with a voice of authority. "Cease this senseless violence. You are sworn to protect the people, not to oppress them. Turn away from the path of tyranny and embrace the light of justice." His words carried a weight that resonated within the very souls of the officers. A few, visibly shaken, began to lower their weapons, their faces etched with doubt. Elder Rowan then opened the warehouse door and called upon the natural spirits of the forests to guide everyone to safety who wished to leave. Chapter 4: Celestial Echoes. A hush fell over the city, a temporary reprieve from the ironclad decree's oppressive grip. But within that silence, Lily embarked on a journey beyond the tangible, a voyage into the celestial realms where the echoes of creation resonated. Leaving Walter to solidify the resistance, she sought answers amongst the stars, a deeper understanding of the cosmic imbalance twisting their world. The transition was seamless, a swirling vortex of colors that transported her from the gritty reality of the underground sanctuary to a landscape of ethereal beauty, a realm where constellations danced and nebulas pulsed with vibrant life. The celestial realm was not a singular place, but a tapestry of interconnected dimensions, each reflecting a different aspect of creation. Lily wandered through crystalline forests where trees sang with the voices of ancient stars, and across oceans of liquid light that mirrored the infinite expanse of the cosmos. She encountered beings of pure energy, entities of unimaginable power and wisdom, who had witnessed the birth and death of countless universes. They spoke in riddles and metaphors, challenging her understanding of reality and forcing her to confront her own limitations. The tyrannical government's actions are but a symptom, one celestial being revealed, its voice a symphony of cosmic harmonies. The true disease lies in the imbalance of power, the corruption of the human spirit. They sought to control the many for their own gain. Walter fights them with all his being, but he faces too much corruption to cleanse it all. Lily listened intently, her mind expanding to encompass the vastness of the cosmos. She realized that the conflict in their world was not merely a political struggle, but a reflection of a deeper cosmic battle between order and chaos. The evil cults had tapped into a source of dark energy that was destabilizing the fabric of reality, amplifying the government's tyranny and poisoning the minds of its citizens. The celestial beings showed Lily a glimpse into the Akashic records where the future of their dimension was written, but the inks were still wet. The threads of destiny are in flux, the entity explained. The future is not yet set. The outcome depends on the choices you and Walter make. Lily delved deeper into the celestial realms, seeking a way to tip the balance in their favor. She encountered celestial guardians who tested her worthiness, challenging her to overcome her own fears and doubts. She faced manifestations of her inner demons, twisted reflections of her insecurities and anxieties. Each challenge pushed her to the brink, forcing her to confront the darkest aspects of herself. But with each trial, she emerged stronger, her resolve hardened, her understanding deepened. The spirits showed that Walter needed to know about a hidden weakness in the ancient demon the cults sought to unleash. One vision transported her to an age long ago, the age of the dragon gods, the dragons before chaos came into existence, and how the first dragon god was enslaved by trickery and lies. The visions of the celestial beings showed that the same trickery and lies would be used again if Walter was not careful. Another vision showed that the power of Lily to create could also destroy. If she gave into her fear of what could happen, then she could do more harm than good. Then the vision stopped, and the celestial beings spoke no more, and Lily began her return. Returning to the mortal realm, Lily sought out Walter, her face illuminated with celestial light. She shared her revelations, her voice ringing with newfound conviction. "The conflict in our world is part of a larger cosmic struggle," she said. "But we are not powerless. We have the strength to tip the balance, to usher in an era of enlightenment and cosmic harmony." She told him of the ancient demon, its weakness, and of what to watch out for when negotiating with the enemy. She told of how his own power could be used against him. As Lily spoke, Walter felt a surge of hope. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with peril, but with Lily by his side, he felt invincible. Together they embraced, their spirits intertwined, their destinies bound together by the cosmic forces that had brought them together. A new alliance began to solidify between Walter and Lily, and the resistance against the tyrannical government and the evil cults grew strong. From the forest came another face from Walter's past, Elder Rowan. Chapter 5: Firestorm Reclamation. The city was a tinderbox, waiting for a spark. Walter, armed with Lily's celestial insights and fueled by a burning desire for justice, was ready to ignite the firestorm. The underground resistance network was in place, its tendrils reaching into every corner of the metropolis. The time for shadows and whispers was over. It was time for open rebellion. "The government believes they have us cornered," Walter announced to his assembled followers, his voice resonating with authority. "They think they can crush our spirit with their ironclad decree. They are wrong. Today, we reclaim our city. Today, we show them the true meaning of freedom." With a roar, the resistance erupted into action. Walter, mounted on chaos, led the charge, a crimson comet streaking across the sky. The dragon unleashed torrents of fire, disrupting the government's surveillance systems and communication networks. The city's drones, once symbols of oppression, plummeted from the sky, their metallic carcasses littering the streets. Below, the resistance cells attacked with coordinated precision, targeting key infrastructure and disrupting the flow of government control. Power grids flickered and died, plunging entire districts into darkness. Communication lines were severed, cutting off the government from its enforcers. The corrupt police force, caught off guard, scrambled to respond, but they were quickly overwhelmed by the sheer number of resistance fighters. Street battles erupted, the air filled with the deafening roar of gunfire and the acrid smell of smoke. Citizens, emboldened by the resistance's success, joined the fight, throwing Molotov cocktails and bricks at the police officers. The city was erupting in chaos, a firestorm of rebellion that threatened to consume the entire metropolis. As the resistance gained ground, Walter focused his attention on the government's headquarters, a towering skyscraper that dominated the city's skyline. He knew that taking down the headquarters would be a decisive blow, a symbol of the government's downfall. But the headquarters was heavily fortified, guarded by elite enforcers and protected by advanced energy shields. Breaching its defenses would require a daring and coordinated attack. Walter, using his energy manipulation skills, created a diversion, drawing the enforcers away from the main entrance. Lily, meanwhile, focused her cosmic energy on weakening the energy shields, creating a window of opportunity for the resistance fighters. A small team of elite resistance members, led by a seasoned warrior named Marcus, infiltrated the headquarters through a hidden underground passage. They fought their way through the corridors, battling enforcers and disabling security systems. As they reached the main control room, they were confronted by the government's leader, a ruthless and power-hungry tyrant named Director Thorne. "You fools," Director Thorne sneered, his voice dripping with arrogance. "You think you can overthrow me? I am the law, I am the order. You will all be crushed." Marcus and his team attacked, but Director Thorne was a formidable opponent. He possessed advanced combat skills and was protected by a personal energy shield. He fought with a ferocity that belied his age, his eyes burning with a fanatical zeal. As Marcus and his team battled Director Thorne, Walter and Lily launched their own assault on the headquarters. Walter, channeling his energy into devastating blows, shattered the energy shields surrounding the building. Lily, unleashing her cosmic power, created a vortex that sucked the enforcers into another dimension. Together, they breached the headquarters and confronted Director Thorne. The battle was joined, a clash of wills and energy that shook the very foundations of the building. Walter and Director Thorne exchanged blows, their powers evenly matched. Lily, meanwhile, focused her energy on disrupting Director Thorne's concentration, creating opportunities for Walter to strike. The battle raged on, the control room filled with the blinding light of energy blasts and the deafening roar of explosions. Finally, Walter saw an opening and struck Director Thorne with a blow that shattered his energy shield and sent him crashing through the window. Director Thorne plummeted to his death, his reign of terror brought to an end. As Director Thorne fell, the remaining enforcers surrendered, their will broken. The government's headquarters was seized, and the resistance had won a decisive victory. But the firestorm was far from over. The evil cults, sensing the government's weakness, seized the opportunity to unleash their dark magic upon the city. Demonic creatures emerged from the shadows, terrorizing the citizens and spreading chaos. Walter knew that he had to act quickly to prevent the cults from taking control. As he was mounting chaos again, Elder Rowan appeared. "Wait, Walter, the people need you now. The forest can assist you. Trust in the strength of the natural order." With a nod to Elder Rowan and a whispered word to Chaos, Walter turned his attention back to the city. The people were in distress, and they needed a beacon of hope in a time of great peril. Walter flew over the city, surveying the wreckage and destruction from the sky. He saw people cowering in fear, their faces etched with despair. He knew that he had to give them a reason to believe, to show them that they could overcome even the darkest of forces. Calling upon his energy manipulation skills, Walter channeled his inner power, creating a radiant aura of light that enveloped the entire city. The light dispelled the shadows and drove back the demonic creatures. The citizens, witnessing the spectacle, felt a surge of hope and courage. They emerged from their hiding places, armed with whatever weapons they could find, and joined the fight against the cults. Chapter 6: Dawn of Illumination. The city, still scarred by the firestorm, stood as a testament to both the destructive power of tyranny and the resilient spirit of freedom. With the tyrannical government shattered and its leader vanquished, the immediate threat had subsided, but a new darkness loomed, the unleashed power of the ancient demon, empowered by the evil cults. The air thrummed with malevolent energy, twisting familiar streets into grotesque parodies of their former selves. Walter, standing atop the wreckage of the government headquarters, surveyed the scene with grim determination. Lily stood beside him, her cosmic energy radiating outwards, a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. "The demon's power is growing," she said, her voice strained. "It feeds on the fear and despair of the people. We must act quickly, or it will consume the entire city." Walter nodded, his resolve unwavering. "We will confront it," he said. "We will use the knowledge you gained in the celestial realms to defeat it. We will usher in a new era of illumination." Guided by Lily's insights, Walter led the charge towards the heart of the demon's power, a nexus of dark energy located in the ruins of the city's ancient cathedral. The path was fraught with peril, as demonic creatures swarmed from the shadows, their eyes burning with malevolent intent. But Walter and Lily fought with unmatched ferocity, their combined powers a force to be reckoned with. Walter unleashed torrents of energy, incinerating the demonic creatures with blinding light. Lily manipulated the very fabric of reality, creating barriers and portals to disrupt the demon's influence. As they battled their way through the hordes, they were joined by the resistance fighters, armed with makeshift weapons and fueled by a burning desire for freedom. Together, they formed an unstoppable force, pushing back the darkness and reclaiming their city, as the spirits of the forest and Elder Rowan helped where they could. Finally, they reached the cathedral, its once sacred halls now defiled by the presence of the demon. The demon stood before them, a towering figure of shadow and rage, its eyes burning with ancient malice. It exuded an aura of pure evil, a palpable weight that pressed down on their souls. "You cannot defeat me," the demon roared, its voice a cacophony of tormented screams. "I am the embodiment of darkness. I am eternal. You are but fleeting mortals, destined to be consumed by my power. Walter stepped forward, his eyes locked on the demon's gaze. You are wrong, he said, his voice ringing with conviction. We are not mere mortals. We are the architects of our own destiny. We have the power to create, to destroy, to transform the world around us. And we will use that power to banish you from this realm forever. Walter channeled his energy, drawing upon the knowledge he had gained from Lily's celestial journey. He focused his power on the demon's weakness, the flaw in its ancient armor that Lily had discovered. He unleashed a surge of pure energy, striking the demon with a blow that shook its very foundations. The demon roared in pain, its power flickering and fading. Lily amplified Walter's energy, creating a cosmic explosion that shattered the cult's dark magic and purified the land. The cathedral crumbled around them, its walls collapsing, its shadows dissipating. The demon shrieked as it was torn apart, its essence banished back to the depths from whence it came. As the dust settled, Walter and Lily stood amidst the ruins, their faces illuminated by the dawn of a new era. The darkness had been vanquished, the city cleansed, the tyranny overthrown. The people emerged from their hiding places, their faces etched with hope and gratitude. They cheered for Walter and Lily, hailing them as their saviors, their liberators. But Walter knew that their work was far from over. The scars of the past would take time to heal, and the seeds of corruption could always take root again. He resolved to establish new systems based on fairness and transparency, to ensure that the tyranny of the past would never be repeated. Under Walter and Lily's guidance, the city began to rebuild, its citizens working together to create a better future. The corrupt police force was disbanded, its members brought to justice for their crimes. The government was restructured, its power distributed among the people. New laws were enacted, protecting individual freedoms and ensuring equal rights for all. As the city healed, a sense of enlightenment and cosmic harmony began to spread. People embraced creativity, innovation, and compassion. They celebrated diversity and embraced unity. The city became a beacon of hope, a symbol of what could be achieved when people worked together to build a better world. Walter and Lily, watching over the revitalized city, felt a sense of deep satisfaction. They knew that their sacrifices had been worth it, that they had paved the way for a brighter future. They were forever remembered as the architects of a new cosmic order, the heroes who had brought light to a world consumed by darkness. But as they looked towards the horizon, they knew that new challenges awaited them, that the fight for freedom and justice was never truly over. They were ready to face whatever came their way, knowing that as long as they had each other, they could overcome any obstacle. High up in the trees, Elder Rowan looked on with a smile, knowing that the world was in good hands. Chaos, with a roar, bowed down, sensing the great peace the future now held.